Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hello. It is wonderful to see each and every one of you, and thank you all so very much for coming to this the latest installment. I've even got clapping and witnessing from participants here. We've got an intriguing week. It's been a hectic, weird week for me, as my cat has almost died, and we're going to have to get him and bring him home. And in fact, they were saying things like, well, he will be shaking because he's going to have to figure out how his muscles work on his body even. Right now he is blind, which will come back just because of the shock of what's happened to him. And I just had to show just one photo just for you guys to see Titan. There's Titan. He's not going to be looking like this right now because he is just all wrapped up and kind of unhappy. In fact, I tried to feed him when we were there, and I had no luck, but John had better luck putting stuff onto a tube for him to be able to eat. He's apparently eating a little better and doing better, which is a wonderful thing. But yeah, so it's kind of like things have been hectic. I had a good time when I was in Chicago. It was fun doing shows, which is why you guys can't see it. I'm wearing my Map of Chicago t-shirt that lists on it all of the open mics that I frequented over the years on it, because I figured I might as well make it unique, right? But I thought and I might as well pull out the book right here. Yeah, it's nice having things in my library that I can just pull out the book I need. I will see if John McMullen will be able to read after me. I have no idea if he'll be able to hear or not, but after him, just so you guys have a list, and I will say them as we go, is Ron, Therese, Tom, Lorna, and Richard. Hi, Richard, as you came late. Hello. But for this first round, I would go through and read material from the most recent issue of cc&d magazine. They came out today. It's been a hectic day. I've had to release magazines as well. This one is Autumn for cc&d magazine, based on an accepted piece of writing within it. And so I got some really cool looking trees that I photographed, I believe, in Pennsylvania years ago. So Autumn is the book cover, and I thought I would pull 3 poems from mine in the end of the poetry section, and they are all poems that also happen to appear in the newly released, as in this past month, The Universe is in Your Hands. You've seen it. People in the past, he's got a copy of it. Oh my gosh, he's got a copy. It is from Cyberwit Press. It is 5.5 by 8.5, and because I was trying to see if I could pull it off, because I did a lot of the design work for it, I also released it. He's showing my signature. One of the guys is showing my signature in the chat room because that's on page 2 of the book, or the title page. But anywho, they did it as a 5.5 by 8.5, and since I did design work for it, I also released it with white pages and with cream pages as a 6 by 9, so it's a little bit larger. I'm not hawking that or showing that off, but it's through Cyberwit Press originally. Hey, I think I see John McMullen coming in. The one thing I think is cool about this book is that it's about things all around the world. So there's a lot of travel stuff in different locations, and in the back of the book there is actually an index. There's an image index, but there's also a location. Hey, there are 2 poems that mention Iraq, one about Iowa, one about Indianapolis, you know, and you can actually find the poems that way in the book as well, which I've never seen or done anything like that in a book before, so I think that's kind of cool. So I was going to share with you 3 poems from this book that also happen to appear in the most recently released issue of cc&d magazine, Autumn, which I know nobody has because it was just released hours ago, and that was why I've been running so late. But the first one, and they're all for different locations, and this first one is September 11th, 2001, The Universe is in Your Hands edit. The Universe is in Your Hands edit of September 11th, 2001. On a typical Tuesday morning, I walked to the TV, thought he was watching a movie. He said, I don't think this is a movie. I think the World Trade Center has been struck. We stared, watched a plane fly into the second tower, then watched the towers collapse. It took 2 days to get through to everyone. My friends and one brother-in-law rescheduled Pentagon meetings. Then we tried to get through to his sister in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Our nephew heard news reports that said that if Flight 93 had landed 30 seconds later, the plane would have hit his school. My brother-in-law in New Jersey was supposed to be at the World Trade Centers for a meeting that day, but he decided to not go to the meeting. Lucky him. I watched the TV like I was some sort of zombie, thinking that this was bigger than Pearl Harbor. More people had died. This wasn't a military base. I had to do something. Maybe I could go there and drive to my brother-in-law's in Jersey, train into Manhattan. So I took off on my own, paid the tolls on I-80, even forgot my camera. I went to his brother's place after 1 in the morning, and he told me what trains to take, but he said half the subway line has to be closed. I trained as far as I could, but I couldn't get close. But I thought, I walk 7 miles for work. This is no problem. I'll buy an instant camera on my walk to ground zero. Maybe get a film canister to collect some building dust. It's funny. Someone gave me ashes from the Mount St. Helens eruption, and I thought, I've lived through this. I should bring something back with me. I should something. But every store was closed and everything was congested. Everything seemed closed, but you still couldn't go anywhere. So over 4 hours later, I got to ground zero wearing gym shoes and jeans with a sealed water in my backpack purse. I wanted to try to get in to help. I don't know, to shovel things out of the way, to something. But no one had maps of where everything was, and there were so many people there trying to help that they told me it was the best thing that I could do to help was just to stay clear of the way so that people could do their jobs. I just stepped back, unable to do anything, only able to stare, like I was watching it on TV. And, you know, in this poem, I used only lowercase when writing this, even when I said I. I'm only lowercase. When I watched the news on that first day and they showed people jumping out of the windows, these silhouettes of people looked like floating paper in a ticker tape parade, and all this debris floating around, I had to keep telling myself, these are people. And when I looked around at all of the remains from all of these towering office buildings, I thought of the dust I was breathing in. I thought, I'm breathing in drywall. I'm breathing in paperwork. I'm breathing in people. So, yes, I'm only lowercase. After what I've seen around me, I'm nothing. That was a tough one. My only shot I ever had of Twin Towers, because I'm from Chicago and there's a distance for me to go, so I thought I'd show that. And I do have stuff from afterward as they were starting to clean it up. That appears in the book. That's why I'm showing that to you guys. But anywho, that seemed really, really far too depressing. But I'll try to get something lighter for you guys for the last two. This first one is for Alaska. And it's called Equinox Concert. And you know, I could show you the huge picture that's in the wall over there, but I'll bring it on a screen to show you that there's a picture in the book as well, in both cc&d and in The Universe is in Your Hands. This is called Equinox Concert. After finishing our only unpaid concert there, as I sang songs live at Ivory Jack's in Fairbanks, Alaska, and thanks for your phenomenal unrehearsed guitar. We regretted it being our last night in town, staying at a hotel with 18-inch windowsills holding all that insulation and plugging cars into outlets because it was just that cold out. It was a Friday night. It was near the autumnal equinox because that's when we heard the aurora borealis was at its best. We also learned that 1:30 a.m. was the best time to see them on these later September days. So this gives us a little time at the bar after the concert before we reapply on our extra insulation, layers, gloves, scarves, headband, hat, then drive away from civilization. For the farther away you go, the better we know it will be. We stopped the car somewhere, got out, leaned back, all the while not knowing which way to look, waiting for we knew not what. But once we spotted the Aurora Borealis starting, we watched it flit and dance across the sky. I cannot remember if it was windy with the hat, headband, scarf over my ears, but at that moment, this night sky was as quiet as a painting with a moving masterpiece that you can't help but watch. It intoxicates you, hypnotizes you, holds your gaze like you're a slave to its every whim. For these fleeting, freezing moments, you're trapped, and there's no place else you'd rather be. A local said that he'd move away from Alaska once he stopped loving seeing the Aurora Borealis. I don't care if it's cold. I know exactly what he means. A little Aurora Borealis photo in there too for you guys. And I've got this huge one that is on the wall because it was the coolest time. You're freezing, but you're like, I know exactly what you mean because you can't think about the cold. When you see something like that, it's just too wonderful. So I'm going to have my last one. I hope that John from his iPod or iPad will be able to get through to us. If not, an afterword is Therese, but I'm going to read this last.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you! We can hear John! Yeah!
I'm going to read one poem after you, then we're going to go back and work on the computer. So.
Okay, one poem after me, and then it'll go on to Therese. Then my last poem that I'm going to share with you, which is not only in autumn, released on September 1st from cc&d, but also The Universe is in Your Hands, is another one of a location, and this is for, I love the fact that one of the guys here is holding up a copy of this book at the same time. You blow my mind. But this is for Colorado, and this poem is Just Far Enough to Feel Free. Living around high-rises in such a big city, I knew that if I jumped out of an airplane here, I wouldn't be falling between skyscrapers, but they'd escort me to farmland past the suburbs for safety. Welcome to rural America, the flattest lands in this country. So I said, no, I'm flying to Colorado for my first time, and I want to see the Rocky Mountains as I fall. I know. I've been here before, sat alone with my laptop and a beer at bars in Denver, seen amazing sights in Boulder, managed to the incline in Colorado Springs. But Longmont? Sure, it's a little bit closer to those mountains. Why not? Time to train. Wait through the afternoon rain sprinkles, and remember, you're being filmed for this, and they asked you to do jazz hands if you were having fun. Yeah, I see guys doing jazz hands. But you've been trained, you're waiting for hours, so when the time comes and you're in the air over 18,000 feet above sea level, they say, your turn. Well,
okay,
no, I'm still reading, John, I'm sorry. Your turn's a part of my poem. Sorry. Newsflash, I'll introduce you properly. Newsflash. If this is your first time from jumping out of an airplane, like me, you might go numb. Suddenly, I had no memory of what to do. My brain was jelly, just a complete blank. But my internal automatic response kicked in, and I just went over, as told, to the side of the airplane with no door. You jump. But no one says that you won't be able to breathe. That whole 120 mile per hour thing makes it impossible to catch your breath. Turning your head to the side doesn't help when the pressure is on your neck, your chest, your mouth, your cheek. Stop freaking out. You'll survive this. Wait, the cameraman is there, pointing his camera at you. Be a good lemming and do jazz hands, like you were told. Oh, wait. Then you realize when moving your hand out a little, the wind shoots your arm straight out in a line and try to correct it, don't extend it, but terminal velocity is making it impossible to control your arms when you jump out of an airplane for the first time. Well, the effort has to be worth something. Once on terra firma, the videographer will ask you, what were you doing with your arms? Just look at them matter-of-factly, point blank, and say, I was doing jazz hands. Because really, how could you not tell? After that, go to Left Hand Brewery in Longmont and get your free You've Jumped Out of an Airplane beer, because left-handed like me or not, you deserve it. And then go to Golden, and not for the Taco John's Tex-Mex, but go to the free, not for the free tour of the Coors Brewery, but just start going up the mountain with Buffalo Bill's grave. My husband swears his ancestor killed more buffalo than Bill. Wow, this vegetarian didn't realize she married into such slaughter royalty. Well, don't get to his grave, but start part of the way up the mountain instead. Turn off the road partway up and just park. Walk to where bushes and brush clear and stop. Have a seat on the ground. Look down at the tiny cars driving along the snaking roads below like spiders with strings. Oh, it's such pretty colors. You're above it all now, although not like it was when you were jumping out of the sky. You're still close to civilization, but just far enough to feel free. Might as well show a shot of me jumping out of an airplane while I was doing it too. There's one tiny little, yeah, I'm getting the jazz hands for it. Thank you guys so much for the listening, you guys. You're triple plus awesome. If John F. McMullen, Zoom host, has got it figured out, so to speak, he said he was going to read one poem and then it would go on to Therese after that. So if you are ready, my darling, the stage is yours and you can take it away.